For 65 years, I believed I was the luckiest man alive. I loved only one woman. I gave her my youth, my dreams, my strength, and every heartbeat I had. But when illness stole my body, the woman I had spent a lifetime protecting became the one who broke my heart. I prayed for death every single night, but death never came. My name is Samuel Carter. I am 86 years old. And for 65 years, my wife Margaret was my entire world. We married when we were both young, and had nothing, except hope. We lived in a tiny, rented apartment where rain leaked through the ceiling. But every night we fell asleep believing tomorrow would be better. I worked endless hours at construction sites while Margaret stayed home raising our children. Every paycheck I earned went into our family. I never bought expensive clothes or chased luxury. Seeing my wife smile after a difficult day was enough to make me feel rich. Whenever life became difficult, I reminded myself that love was about sacrifice. Years passed, our children grew up, started families, and moved away. The house that was once filled with laughter slowly became silent. Still, I never felt lonely because Margaret was beside me. Then one winter morning, everything changed. I collapsed in the kitchen after suffering a severe stroke. When I woke up in the hospital, the doctor quietly explained that I might never fully recover. Walking became painful, even. For the first few weeks, Margaret cared for me. She fed me. She helped me sit up. She stayed beside my bed. I thanked God every night for giving me such a loving wife. But slowly, everything changed. Her gentle voice disappeared. Her patience vanished. One afternoon I accidentally dropped a glass of water because my hands were shaking. Instead of helping me, she shouted, "You can't even hold a glass anymore." Those words hurt far more than the illness. Every day became harder. If I asked for water, she sighed with frustration. If I needed help standing, she complained. Sometimes she spoke as if I had become a burden instead of the husband who had spent 65 years protecting her. At night I cried silently so she wouldn't hear me. The pain wasn't in my weak body. The pain was watching the love of my life become a stranger. One evening I folded my trembling hands and whispered, "Dear God, if my life has become a burden to everyone I love, please take me home." I believed that prayer would be answered quickly. But morning came, then another morning. Weeks became months. Death refused to visit. Every sunrise felt heavier than the last. One afternoon my oldest friend, Richard, came to visit. He looked into my eyes and asked softly, "What hurts the most?" I struggled to answer. Finally I whispered, "My illness didn't break me. Losing the kindness of the woman I loved did." Richard couldn't hold back his tears. After he left, the house became quiet again. Several days later, Margaret began cleaning an old closet. Hidden behind dusty boxes, she found a small notebook. It was my diary. She slowly opened the first page. Every page contained memories of our life together. The day we first met. The day our first child was born. The anniversary when I skipped buying myself a new coat so I could surprise her with the necklace she once admired. There were hundreds of small moments she had completely forgotten. Then she reached the final page. Her hands started trembling. It read, "If one day I become weak, please don't. Remember me for my worst days. Remember the 65 years I spent trying to love you with everything I had." Tears rolled down her face. For the first time, she realized how deeply her words had wounded me. She walked slowly into my room, sat beside my bed, held my fragile hand, and cried harder than I had ever seen. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I forgot the man who spent his entire life loving me." From that day forward, she cared for me with patience and kindness once again. She fed me. She read to me every evening. She never complained again. But some wounds never fully heal. I forgave her because love forgives. Yet every night, I still looked toward the ceiling and quietly prayed. Not for revenge, not for wealth, but for peace. Sometimes life teaches us its cruelest lesson far too late. The greatest pain is not growing old. The greatest pain is becoming invisible to the person who once promised to stand beside you forever. If you still have someone who loves you today, hold their hand, speak gently, because one day, memories may be the only thing left. Love is not tested when life is easy. It is tested when someone becomes weak, helpless, and completely dependent on your kindness. Never forget the people who stood beside you during your strongest years, because one day they may need you during their weakest.